Hello,
It's
ladies and
pretty
gentlemen,
light.
and welcome back to another episode of the Koop'd Up Podcast. The podcast that I had a Lord of the Rings thing lined up, and I lost it. Totally blanked. Wow, fuck my life. So this is the intro this week. As always, my name is Koopa, and each week I'm joined by a friend or two or three, and we talk about all the things happening in pop culture. And this week, folks, it is semi-topical. There is a television show coming out on Amazon Prime. I think it's, if it's not already out, it's coming out soon. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, comes out soon at some point. And hey, what better time to review all three of the Lord of the Rings movies, or at least one of the Lord of the Rings movies I haven't watched yet. A spoiler, I haven't seen any of them. Then with two of my favorite people on the internet. One of which who has also not seen any of the Lord of the Rings films, and one of who has seen them too many times. Um, we'll reveal those roles in a second. But let's
It's
go
a
around.
surprise.
There's only two. There's only three of us here. So which one of us is imposter? I was in electrical. What about you guys?
Guys, I'm the imposter. I have seen
Rachel
this
sus!
movie. Yeah,
That's
I can
so sus.
quote
You're not
this
part of
movie.
our broship anymore.
It's me against the world. I'm sorry. I've seen this movie so many times I can quote it back to front, which is really embarrassing to admit as a 28-year-old. But
That embarrassed
No, I think
28-year-old
that's
who knows
sick.
too much about Lord of the Rings is returning guest for the first time in a while. Okami Swan. Hi, Rachel. What's up?
what is up, YouTube?
You got me there. This is going on YouTube at some point. With a great picture that Okami blessed us with for promotional purposes. You guys will find out what I mean later. And joining us once again to stick with the tonal whiplash of things that we talk about on this podcast, from Pokemon the first movie to boobs and Euphoria and everything in between. It's the sleepiest of Kokiris. Kokiri, hi, what's up? How you doing?
That's me. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've been penciling this one.
We're no
on
longer
my...
behind on everything.
Yeah, let's go. We've officially caught up.
We
on
are
all
culturally
the content.
informed.
I feel like I'm like getting points off my license by like finally watching this. Like,
Right?
I feel like it's like a coming of age moment. Like I just got hair on my chest for the first time.
Oh my
But
god.
there's gonna be a lot of
Same.
This podcast
Me
is
too.
gonna go places, so I hope you guys are into that. But as always, I will do the plugs up top because I always forget to do them. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all your favorite podcasting networks. These podcasts go up in video form on YouTube and on audio form wherever you get your podcasts, which includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and whatever happens in between. And shout out to the Believe Podcast Network, our host site, which has over 800 active podcasts. So if you guys like sports, pop culture, comedy, and all that other stuff, check us out on the site. But yeah, without further ado, are you guys ready to simply walk into to Mordor?
Yes.
So I think
We get that now.
Yes, I feel like
I heard that.
I'm so happy. I feel like I just like grew an inch, but I didn't. So let's kind of talk about what we're doing here. This is a series that I've wanted to do for a long time. I actually wanted to make a podcast out of this called Late to the Party, where I just review things that I've never watched before. But then I found out that name was taken already, so I couldn't do that idea. But
You were late to the party on the title.
Yeah, you got me there. I totally kicked the shit out of that one. It does fit. But yeah, as me fashionably to everything, I wanted to do like a series of podcasts within a podcast where I want to talk about things that I've never watched before, because as someone who consumes a lot of content, for what I want to do on the podcast, I think we're almost at 70 episodes of the show, which is insane. There's still a lot of shit that I've never watched before. And one of the blind spots on my nerd card is Middle Earth. I, up until recently, have never seen a Lord of the Rings movie. I couldn't tell you what a Legolas was, what Sauron was. I knew who Elijah Wood was, but that's besides the point. But yeah, this one of the most critically acclaimed fantasy films of all time has been lost to me for whatever reason. And when I came up with this idea to talk about this, I think me and Kokiri like stemmed this from like one of our like podcast. We're just like, yeah, we should do a podcast about that. And then Okami and Rachel, just off topic. Do you get referred to you by your government? Are we?
Please refer to me by my government name.
Okay. Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
Start the podcast over again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. But yeah, so Rachel, you're the big Lord of the Rings fan here. So I think I'd love to start the podcast with your history with the franchise, whether it be through the books, through the movies. So where does your Lord of the Rings journey begin?
Yeah, so the movies came out in the early 2000s. I think the first one must have been like 2001 or 2. Yeah, 2001. So I was way too young to like watch it at first. So
are we all the same age here? I think we were all the same age. So I would have been 6, I think.
Yes, very little. So yeah, so I do remember when the first one was coming out, because it was a really big deal. These were like big fucking deals coming out like in the movie theater and stuff, because they were so long and they were such a massive production and stuff. But it was back in the day when DVDs were like getting
what's
getting popular. They were like, I'm serious. It was like the new thing to like own DVDs and like be able to watch these kind of movies like in your house and stuff. So I think after the second one came out, or right when the second one came out, my parents had bought the DVDs for them, and I got to watch them at home. And then I got to watch the third one when it came out in the theater, which was so cool. It was like one of the coolest movies I've ever seen in a movie theater to my little child mind. And after that, when I got a little bit older, my mom bought me The Hobbit, the book The Hobbit, and that is the prequel to The Lord of the Rings. It's just a standalone book. And then I read The Lord of the Rings themselves once I hit like middle school. And it like just super cemented my love for them. I think the movies are like, you can't like perfectly adapt those kind of books. They're just too great, like, of a spectrum to be able to fit them into like a movie series. But for what they did, it's amazing. I can't believe that they did what they did with a movie in the early 2000s. Like, I can't believe that they hold up the way that they do this far along too. So I love rewatching them. My sister and I rewatch them every year. I'm super excited to watch Rings of Power. I think the first episode's out, but I haven't watched it yet. But I think it's amazing. It's a super nostalgic series for me at this point. So it's my sister and I joke that they're Christmas movies because it's fun to watch it when it's all nice and cozy and winter out. So we joke it's our favorite Christmas series. So we watch it every year around like winter time. So that's where I am with it. I'm curious to hear how you guys have never seen them. That's crazy to me. That's crazy because you're nerds. So like, how have you never seen the?
Kokiri, do you want to confess for our sins first?
Yeah. So the thing is, don't hate me already. I've seen them, but I've only seen them very sleep deprived. And I watched all the extended editions starting at like 2 a.m. back to back. I remember nothing. I remember there's a dwarf and a tree walks, and that's all I remembered. And I was like, I hated that. That was terrible. And it's like, well, that's probably because you watched them with no sleep. So I literally remembered nothing going into these movies. So technically I've seen them, but I've never seen them. In university, I've read The Hobbit, and in my own time, I've read Rover Random, but I haven't read Lord of the Rings. And for some reason, it was just never on my radar. Like when I was growing up, like I like fantasy things. I just never thought to watch it. I don't know why. And also, anyone who meets me is like, that's like a thing that you are the type of person. Yeah. You would like it in particular. And I'm just like, I don't know. I've never seen it. Probably because they're long.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. That's a big commitment. But yeah, it just was never on my radar. But now it is at least 1/3 on my radar.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've seen one of the Hobbit movies.
Oh, there you go. I've completely forgot about those too. So that's a whole.
We can
nother-
forget about them. Don't worry. Don't worry about those.
They weren't very good. That didn't really help the case for seeing the other ones.
Yeah, this is not what we're talking about today. Let's just move on from that one.
Yeah, kind of similar to what Kokiri said. Like, it was never on my field of view. Like, I think, I can't even use length as an excuse because I am an adult that has sat through like multiple like 3-hour Marvel movies. So it's like, I think what it was, like, my level of nerdism was very much catered to like science fiction, like growing up.
Mhm.
Like, I liked watching movies about like robots and space. So like, I watched a lot of Star Wars growing up. Like, that's what my dad liked. My dad loved sci-fi movies. So stuff like E.T. and, Alien, movies. I was probably way too young to be watching those movies then anyway, but at least not E.T., but Alien, yes. So like stuff like that is like very much where like I like made my home. So like I was really looking forward to watching things like Spider-Man and Star Wars, and then there was things like like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings that was much more like fantastical and magical, and that kind of really wasn't my vibe back then. So I still watched those things and I enjoyed them, but at least Harry Potter I did, and for whatever reason, Lord of the Rings I just never got around to it. I kept pushing it under the rug and hoping that it would go away, but no, it never it never did. And then lo and behold, one of my best friends on planet Earth is like, "No, you need to watch these movies." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So you got me there.
Yeah.
And yeah, listen, I can say that my life is for the better for it. Like this movie was, you mentioned it, Rachel. It's like it for a movie that came out 21 years ago. Like that's it still holds up like incredibly well. Like
that was the main thing I took away from it too. I was like, this movie could have came out last year and I'd believe you.
Yeah.
Like, it looks incredible.
Yeah. It's unreal that had come out when it did. Which is why I'm so excited to watch the new series too, because I'm like, well, now what's it going to look like if it was like that good 20 years ago?
The practical effects make a really big difference with it aging really well.
Yes.
Which is why practical effects are great. Would you guys like to take a guess at what so this movie was the second highest grossing movie in 2001. Would you like to take a guess at what the highest grossing movie was?
God.
Is it Harry Potter?
It is Harry Potter. Yeah, it's Harry Potter, followed by Lord of the Rings, Monsters Inc.,
Let's go!
Shrek, and Ocean's 11. That's not what I was expecting.
I'm kind of dressed like Shrek.
Nelly, a talking horse. That's a different podcast for a different day. I would love to talk about Shrek sometime, but that's
oh my god, yeah. I've only seen the first one.
How could you say that the second one is like...
I know, okay? The next series! Let's finish this one, then I'll do Shrek.
I'm just saying, I think Shrek 2 celebrates something celebrates an anniversary soon. So I would love to talk about Shrek 2 in podcast form.
Okay.
Moving on. But yeah, I think that's like my biggest takeaway from this movie is that like I'm looking at just like the practical effects, like the fight scenes, like the environment, the set pieces, the Shire, like everything just looks so fucking cool. Like, and this is like, and again, like I understand that technology is advanced to a point where these things might not necessarily be feasible anymore. Like, again, I use Marvel as an example because that's where my wheelhouse is. Like, they don't use practical suits for almost anything anymore, so it's all CG and green screen. And yeah, while it does look good, in there's still parts where it looks really fucking bad. So like, seeing the mix of CG and again early CG in the early 2000s and just practical effects and amazing. The makeup is another thing that obviously like stands out hugely. Like, it all just looks amazing all these years later.
Yeah, they definitely it's very atmospheric in a very believable way for a lot of the places that they go. Like, starting out in the Shire, like, I'm sure you guys are going to want to go through like canonically like parts of the movie and like what you liked and didn't like and whatever, but starting out in the Shire is like the most important part of like this movie specifically, because it has to show you like how wonderfully sweet and peaceful and happy-go-lucky Frodo was and Bilbo was and all the hobbits were before this calamity falls on them, and they the way they filmed, especially in the extended edition. In the extended edition, there's a couple extra added scenes and stuff. Like it's like, who wouldn't want to just go live there themselves? Like, that's how good they make it feel, and it's not like there's no obvious CGI. It's a lot of just like, wow, that looks like a real place I could roll up to and just roll into one of those holes and live in it. And like it makes you feel really nice. It really sets the scene of like, it shows you how dark and evil this task is ahead of Frodo, and it's just, in the books, in comparison, there's a lot of people who love and hate the Shire, and in the movies, like it's impossible not to just love it and like feel intrigued and like at peace with this world that you're thrown into. And that has a lot to do with the effects and the setting and the filming. And I think it was filmed in New Zealand. Most of it was filmed in New Zealand. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think something that stands out to me is that, like, as an outsider coming into this, all I really knew is that, like, people still to this day talk about moving to New Zealand and living in the hobbit holes. because I so I was like, yeah, cool, bro. I think I know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to go live in a hole in the ground. That's awesome.
It's ideal.
It's goals, honestly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I do agree with you. Or like, I love that they set this up. Like you said, like, you know, they spend a good amount of exposition in the beginning of the movie. Like the first, I have the Wikipedia page pulled up, you know, obviously just for referencing sake. But like the first whole paragraph of the page is like, yeah, you know, it talks about the rings of power and how unbeknownst to everyone that, you know, they forged the one ring to rule them all. And then it talks about how Bilbo finds the ring without any knowledge of its history, and then, like you said, this dark task has placed upon them to to return the ring to where it once came from, and just the trials and tribulations that the Fellowship has to go through. It's absolutely incredible storytelling, which is again what I love about fantasy films. It's like I love being taken in by a great story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me. See what. So, what did you guys think, like, going into this? So, like, boom! I just put you in the Shire. Gandalf's there, and Frodo's there, and we're celebrating Bilbo's birthday. Like, how are you guys liking this whole like beginning of the film?
It's very pleasant and peaceful, and you can tell they're goofy, silly little guys. And I was like, damn, people are gonna fucking die. Like, knowing the task of the movie, it's just like, oh, they're all fucked.
Yeah.
Gandalf's probably bad, but they're all fucked. Yeah. That was my initial thoughts.
Yeah, like I mentioned, like my pea-headed brain like went to like, oh, like, this is so peaceful, this is so cool, and then Ian McKellen shows up on my screen, and I'm just like, oh, it's Magneto from the X-Men movies. So I'm just like again, like we come from very different like backgrounds of fantasy, so I was just like, oh, that's who that was. I was just like, really interesting. So, but. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the first thing I said when we got to the Shire and I saw Frodo for this time is I looked at Eric and I was like, do you wear wigs? Like, will you wear wigs? I'm just like, yeah, it's that guy.
Oh my gosh. So
it's like peaceful music and I'm just like, will you wear wigs?
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we meet the four hobbits that comprise of half of our fellowship. You got Frodo, the ring bearer. You got Sam, the loyal best friend. You got Merry and Pippin, the doofus dingoids who cause trouble everywhere they go.
I love them so much.
So
I'm gonna beat their ass. I hate them.
So after Gandalf places this upon Frodo to meet meet him at the prancing pony, and they are on the road, and suddenly the ring wraiths appear. I think you gave me a prompt saying, like, what do you think are some of like the most memorable scenes, and like what do you think you like people reacted to for the first time? So the scene where the ring wraith chases them off the road and they're hiding under that tree root And Frodo, like, you can really, like, I feel like that's the first time the atmosphere really, really changes to show how serious this is. So how did you guys feel about the whole ring wraith chase?
Yeah,
I was like, man, this movie's short.
yeah. The end.
Could you imagine? Kokiri's cut will cut that extended edition right down.
Directed by Peter Jackson.
Exactly.
No,
That was scary. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember the ring wraiths at all. Like I don't remember this movie, but like they're like
Yeah.
they're freaky. I
Yeah.
don't like their vibe.
yeah, I did not like that. Like again, that's where like the movie kind of hit me. I'm just like, oh fuck, like this is like tonally it like completely shifted. Or I'm just like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like I want spooky, creepy fucking fantasy shit. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's exactly what I got. And like,
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time. I'm just like, oh my god, like. Is that it? Like, there's no way this could be it, right? Right? Like, when's our heroes gonna get a break, or like, you know, what's gonna happen?
You see the ring tempt Frodo for the first time too, under there, and it's something that you'll see a lot in this movie and in the coming movies is like really the struggle between Frodo and being the ring bearer and the ring itself, and I think that is very important, especially in the second and third movies, and how that changes Frodo's story a lot. But moving past that, we make it to the Prancing Pony, and we meet our ranger, our number one goat, Aragorn. What are you guys thinking over at
He's
this point?
hot.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
That's my review.
Oh no, he's
I
hot.
like that guy.
Oh no, he's hot.
Oh no, he's hot.
No, yeah, he's a handsome son of a bitch. That's for sure. So I was like, ooh, it's that type of movie. I like it. Also,
That type
great
of movie
character
with the
too.
hot guys.
We got Bilbo and Bimbo. Am I right?
Oh my god. Yup.
Yes.
That's me watching this movie.
Yup.
Oh man.
Stay tuned for
That
after
was
the
the first-
podcast where we rank all of
Yeah.
our favorite characters we will kiss.
It's Legolas.
Tier list.
It is
Sorry,
Legolas.
that was my tier list. It's tied with Aragorn and Legolas. So there you go.
That's fair.
Uh,
When we got to the Prancing Pony, that was the first time I was like, man, I hate Merry and Pippin.
Oh,
I can't. Okay, also for the record, I cannot tell them apart. They're the same guy.
yes,
they do look very similar.
They're the same guy.
They get easier to tell apart as the movies go on, in my opinion.
I'll let you know if that's true.
Yeah, we will be hearing about it. I think like I said, like when we were leaving the Shire, they're like just silly, goofy little dudes who kind of don't have a care in the world. It really shows that they have no idea what they're getting into. They have no clue the gravity of what they're getting into. And I think the way that they handle this situation as it goes on becomes a lot more apparent. So I think hopefully you'll be able to tell them apart a little bit better as it goes on.
yeah, that was the
We'll
biggest thing for me
see.
about like Merry and Pippin. I'm just like, I still can't tell which one of you is which right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's driving me nuts.
Yep.
Are they brothers or are they just besties?
They're besties.
Okay.
They're just besties.
Brothers by
I need
choice.
to. I wanted to-
It's color
yeah.
text.
Oh man.
But is this a scene where like they get ambushed again? Is this what happens after this? I'm trying to.
Yes. So
And they're gonna do the steady.
yep. So they do avoid getting stabbed, but on the road the ring wraiths are chasing them, and Frodo they set a fire because they're stupid. They don't understand. Like I said, they don't understand the gravity of what they're in right
Yelling.
now, and it very clearly costs them. It's a very dear mistake, and Frodo
Almost dies,
Frodo gets stabbed with one of the wraith blades, and it's suddenly this crazy race against time. And who shows up to help him other than my girl Arwen, my elf girl? So
Played by
what
Liv
did you
Tyler.
guys- Yes, my girl. So we get her racing to Rivendell, and she summons that giant horse river sickness, and they barely make it, but they make it in time. And now we are suddenly in Rivendell, which is beautiful. It's one of my favorite scene
That's my
places.
favorite place.
Yeah, it's easily
so
one of the best settings in the movie. So this is where the Fellowship convenes.
They say the thing.
They say the thing.
They say multiple things. So this is the scene.
They say so many things.
Again, this is there's a good amount of exposition in this scene again, where everybody gets together, to kind of discuss about what's going on here. A council of elves, men, and dwarves, and also Frodo and Gandalf are also there. But yeah, that's where they formed the Fellowship of the Ring, which everyone was, it's a Leo DiCaprio meme here. Everyone stands up and points at the screen. And then we get we get the Boromir meme in real time, and my brain blue screen. I was like, what? I forgot this
there
happens
he is.
Here.
Yes,
so the picture moves.
Oh my gosh, fucking love that meme.
It's so funny.
So in Rivendell, the council, like you said, composed of men and dwarves and elves, and Gandalf's there, so wizards there. They can't choose what to do with the ring. They all have different ideas of what should be done with it. And amidst all this fighting, Frodo stands up and says, "I'll take it to Mordor, though I don't know the way." And the only person who hears him is Gandalf, who feels very responsible for my little boy Frodo. And suddenly, with the bravery and courage of one hobbit, everyone can come to agreement that they will help him bring this ring across many countries and into a very dangerous place to get rid of it. So there we have the Fellowship, the thing, and we set out. We got a couple new party members. We got Boromir, who is a human, a man, Gimli, the dwarf, and Legolas, the elf, and Gandalf joins with us. He's part of the party now.
Still had no idea that was
Boromir's
Orlando
kind
Bloom
of a hater.
Yeah,
Boromir,
he is.
Yeah, Boromir, he's got a couple of issues. This dude's got some issues.
And also I said this off pod, but I truly had no idea that was Orlando Bloom until after the credits rolled.
It's unbelievable.
What?
I'm so bad with faces.
That is crazy. I was like, when I was a little girl, I was like, he might be the coolest man alive. I was like, this dude's an elf and a pirate. There's no way he's not the coolest actor ever.
And now he's married to Katy Perry, so it's like...
Yeah, well, yeah, whoa. Good for him. Well, anyways. Yeah, so this is definitely at the halfway point, or a little bit past the halfway point, and our party sets out, and there's a lot of different dynamics that happen between all the characters. You obviously get the age-old feud between dwarves and elves, so you get a lot of banter between Gimli and Legolas. You get a couple scenes of Boromir and Aragorn teasing the hobbits, and there's the stupidly silly what about breakfast? What about second breakfast? What about... And this dude lists off his 11 meals he wants.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But they are basically chased off the trail that they're taking, and they're forced to make a decision on where they want to, or how they want to continue their travel. And they basically have this choice of going around a mountain or through the mines of Moria, which Gimli claims is the safest way, is to go through the mines under the mountain.
There's this scene makes me laugh because this is where they're just what's the elvish name for friend? And he's Melon. I was like, that's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, that is really funny. To me, honestly, that scene is one of the scenes that maybe didn't age the best, CGI wise and stuff. The first time I watched that, I was like, what the fuck is going on in that lake?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, that's a
yeah,
little rough.
Yeah, so but it is urgent and it's scary, and you know, they basically have the choice made for them, and they have to go through the mountain. They have to go through these mines. And they start going through the mines, and they very quickly realize they are completely empty. They are abandoned. There is no one here. And we see, as Gimli discovers, that everyone that he knew down there has been killed long ago, very long ago, by the orcs. And then the orcs basically are alerted to their presence down there, and this huge chase scene begins. And it's really scary. When I was a kid watching that, I was just like, there's no way they get out of it. Like, there's no way they get out of this, right? There's like, these things are fucking everywhere, like ants. So they are running, and they get to the bridge, and suddenly the orcs retreat, and who shows up but Balrog? Big fire dude, Balrog.
It's Bowser.
It is Bowser. He is here. He is not here to play games.
Yet.
Yet, yeah. And
Yet.
so
Later,
our dude Gandalf says his most iconic line.
He says the thing.
He says the thing. I think it's probably the most iconic part of the entire movie. It's easily the one that people like who don't even know Lord of the Rings would be able to quote. Like, it's the "You shall not pass." That is crazy. You know, he defeats the Balrog, and then at the last moment, he is swept up by the Balrog and taken down and falls into the depths of Moria. And as a kid, I was heartbroken. I was like, there's no way that they just did that. So what did you guys think when you were at this point of the movie?
I was like, okay, well, he can't be like dead.
Yeah.
But also, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, I think that's one of the benefits of the coming into is like kind of blind, where it's just like everything's already finished in its entirety. So it's just like, oh, well, they can't kill him. There's two other movies they got to do. But I watch it, I'm just like, wow, like that was intense. And here again, hearing, you know, the "You shall not pass" again, like it's the most iconic line from the movie, or like it's one of like, you know, one of the more iconic lines from the movie. But
yes, yeah,
I was just like, wow, like again, like just watching it in real time, I was like, this is fucking sick. Like, and Ian McKellen is such a fantastic actor. And,
yes, absolutely.
He absolutely crushes it. But yeah, like I was taken aback. Like, even just again, knowing that there's more to come here, I was just like, oh my gosh, like that was exhausting. I think this is like I said, it took me a couple days to watch the movie in one sitting. I think this is where I like kind of had to turn it off to reset my brain a bit. I was like, all right, I gotta take a nap right now. I was like, man, this is getting
it's
good.
a lot. It is, yeah, it's getting good. Our party makes it out of the mines. Minus our basically what was considered to kind of be like our leader, our wise, you know, wizard, who was the one who the dude with the plans. So like, where do we go from here? And it's very, very obvious how deeply the loss of Gandalf is affecting the party, specifically Frodo, because Frodo, you know, has had a very close relationship with Gandalf. So this is a very, very hard on him. And like I said, as a kid, I was like, oh my god, what are they supposed to do? I don't even know. So they continue on the best they can. They keep going, and they run into the wood elves, the forest elves, and they get taken to Lothlorien, which is also one of the most beautiful settings in the movie. So
pretty. Yeah, this might be my favorite, truthfully.
Yeah, and you know, these elves are a little bit more cold and like hostile compared to the elves of Rivendell. And you get
that lady scares me.
Yes, so you get introduced to the Lady Galadriel, who was one of the elves that were around for the forging of the rings. So, you know, we've met Arwen's father, and now we have Galadriel, and she is a very mysterious lady, and she is very clearly knows a little bit more than what she is letting on. And she has a vision that is probably the worst effects in the entire movie. There's a lot of like flashing.
I thought the same thing. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's probably, you know, that's something that
it was a choice.
That you could be like, yeah, this was filmed in 2001. But it is pretty serious. She gives Frodo a vision, and kind of some wise words about the party. And she recognizes that the ring is tempting her as well as it does with everyone around them. And she gives the party some gifts and sends them on their way. And she gives Frodo the light of one of their most beloved stars as her parting gift, which is a very important gift that Frodo will keep for the rest of his journey. So from there, kind of move into the end game of the Fellowship, and this is when our party gets attacked by this new breed of orc called the Uruk-hai, which are strong and gross and fast, and they are built for war, and our party is not prepared when they get attacked by them. And so in the middle of this attack, or I should say right before, Boromir kind of shows what a lot of people were expecting was going to happen, you know, leading up this whole movie, and he tries to take the ring for himself, as that all men are tempted by the ring, and he tries to take it, and it hurts them. It hurts their trust a lot, and it's awful, and he realizes how awful it was, and so when the Uruk-hai attack, he sacrifices himself, and he gives his life to fight to make sure the hobbits are safe out of the battle. And so we lose a second member of the Fellowship just right after we've lost Gandalf, and he dies with parting words to Aragorn that are really severe, and they're very, very heartfelt. I would have followed you, my friend, my brother, my king. And those I
cried.
Really, really, yeah, those are great. It's a great, like, finishing line for a character. And our party is now split up, and Frodo, having just lost these two people that he cared about, decides that he needs to take on this burden by himself and bring the ring to Mordor by himself, and tries to leave alone. And he has his loyal friend Sam, who chases after him and refuses.
My baby.
Yeah, refuses to let him go by himself. In what is like one of the most emotional scenes in the whole series, in my opinion. So we have the party split up by Frodo and Sam. The two others, Merry and Pippin, were taken by the Uruk-hai because they are unsure of. I know we like have barely mentioned like Solomon, if we have at all. Saruman, he's the bad wizard, obviously.
Bad guy.
So the Uruk-hai are taking Merry and Pippin to Saruman, and Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn go after the hobbits. So
I would have left him.
The
illusion of choice.
They understand where Frodo's heart was and where his head was, and they entrust this to him. They say, Frodo knows what he's doing, and Sam is with him, and we will go after Merry and Pippin. And so that is, I believe, where the first movie ends. And it ends with the party split, even though like they didn't even make it through a whole half a movie together as one fellowship.
Some fellowship,
yeah, right?
I right?
So
1 week and the group chat dissolves.
Yeah, for real. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on the movie as a whole? Like, what were your favorite parts? What were your favorite characters of the Fellowship? I want to know it all.
That battle with the Uruk-hai was fucking sick. That was when I was like, I'm a big sucker like for like big fight scenes in a forest.
Mhm.
like I think like there's a scene in Harry Potter that I pulled from when like it's like one of the last ones where like the Death Eaters are following them through the forest,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then but then like just watching like Boromir just like hard body these dudes and then like take like 6 arrows to the chest and then die. I was like, oh my god, like and again after being sussed out for men only want one thing and it's the ring to rule them all, like disgusting. But like that whole ending sequence was just like, it was absolutely, it was just great. And I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Like, and again, coming in late to it, I was just like, I don't know, like, am I gonna like this? Like, am I gonna have a place in this fandom? Like, do I have room for another hyperfixation in my pea brain? The answer is yes, because I'm so thoroughly excited to just like indulge more in this universe, and like all of the character stuff was just with Frodo, then his relationship with Gandalf and how important that is, and that whole exchange that exchange with Boromir and Aragorn at the end. I was like, oh, just stab me right in the heart, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and again, I understand this movie made $1 bajillion, and stemming a spin-off franchise and everything coming with it.
Hot take: Lord of the Rings is good.
Whoa, take it easy there, champ.
Yeah.
What about
what
you?
about your favorite character?
Ooh.
Yeah, who is your favorite character of the Fellowship? Well, I guess they don't have to be in the Fellowship, but you don't get too many characters that are outside of the Fellowship.
Kate Blanchett is so hot. No, but God, this is hard. It has to be Legolas. Legolas is so fucking cool.
He's so cool.
Like
he's
when he's
cool
just
dude.
like when he's just pulling arrows and just like slinging it like it's nobody's business. I'm just like, yo,
yeah, he's a suave little guy.
Yeah, I had that same thought you did, where I'm just like, you have no business being this fucking cool. But also Viggo Mortensen crushes it as Aragorn.
Yeah,
so
he's
I think it's
phenomenal.
a toss-up. So, what about you, Kokiri?
I like Sam.
Oh, Sam is wonderful. Sam,
I think he's sweet.
He
I
is.
think the way that he was literally like, I'm gonna drown for you, Mr. Frodo, and then he just like literally starts drowning is the funniest thing I've ever seen. But also like the sweetest.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he was like, I'm gonna die like right now. And Frodo's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like they're so gay.
Yeah, oh,
but
absolutely.
I love them so much.
Absolutely.
They're so cute.
The fan fiction probably goes crazy.
Oh,
It's
dude.
yeah.
People are in such denial about that. I'm like, they
are they? Because they are.
They're definitely gay-coded characters, especially in the books. I'm like, you guys were just written in a homophobic time. You're just being gay in a homophobic time.
Yeah,
that's all.
I have a question. So you said you've read the books, right? Did I remember that correctly?
I have, yeah.
Okay, like how, like I understand it's the source material isn't always 100% accurate. Is there anything that like is wildly different between this movie and the first book?
I haven't read the books in a very long time, but there's the thing that is what makes the Lord of the Rings.
The books are on paper, and then the movie is on a TV.
Yes, one of the things has Orlando Bloom, and the other one doesn't.
Very important.
The thing that makes the books so grand in scope and so alive and so full is that they are packed to the brim with lore that goes back for thousands of years across thousands of like different people and like races and countries and ages. There's just millennia in this book, and he has written it all. Like he tells it to you as it's happening, so you understand like the history of these people while you're witnessing the present. And so it gives just like a lot more depth and a lot more like the world building they just simply don't have time. They can't do that in a movie. Like you just can't explain.
It's impossible to translate that much information into
Yeah,
a
it's
film.
just you just can't do it. You have to show what's happening now, and maybe every couple of scenes a character can give exposition that explained. I think in the beginning, when you actually have Lady Galadriel like narrating that whole how the Rings of Power came into being, I think even that is like a rare thing for movies to have such a long, thorough explanation of like this whole setup of this thing. Like you don't get scenes that long in fantasy nowadays. Lord of the Rings is an exception, and they made the time for it, but I mean, you'd be completely lost without that. And even just that took like the 20 minutes out of the opening. Like, it's a big chunk of the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of
I mean, it's just that. And I mean, even past Lord of the Rings, he's just written, half a dozen books on just lore and just world building and like different ages of men and elves. And like, it just keeps going. There's stuff even came out like, what is it, like after he died, like his son kept publishing all this stuff that he had because he just had so much, and that's just something it's just impossible to ever be able to make into anything other than a book.
Yeah, that's the thing about, like, I had to like wrap my mind around like watching this. Like, this movie came out in 2001, but these books are written in like the 50s. So I'm just like,
they were written
this is
quite a long time ago.
Crazy. Like, that's the part for me that
I didn't realize they were that old.
Yeah, like it didn't dawn on me. I'm just like, oh yeah, like I wonder when these books actually came out. Because I was like, oh my gosh, like talk about Middle Earth, am I right? Now I have the Wikipedia page up here. I'm gonna play a fun little game because we're gonna play casting. This is a category in another podcast that I listen to. This is not original content. I am stealing.
Steal.
There's a category in a podcast I listen to where they do like just about like casting what ifs. Do you guys want to? I'm going to go down the list of some of the names here linked to some of these major characters. So I want you guys to try to take a guess at who would play such characters. Are you ready?
I can try my best.
Okay.
I will make an attempt.
Okay, so let me try to set the stage here. Do you want to take a guess at like a early 2000s actor that was that unsuccessfully auditioned for the role of Frodo Baggins?
Oh God, I am not gonna be able to remember freaking actors from 2001.
Who's a short little fucker?
I'll revamp this when we're done with the first one. I have a better way.
It was me. I auditioned. God, I don't know celebrities. I bet it was Paris Hilton.
Close. No, you're not. All right. The actor you're looking for is Mr. Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal.
Really?
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal unsuccessfully auditioned for the role of Frodo Baggins.
Wow. That would have been a much different movie.
Kind of a rough 2 years for Jake Gyllenhaal, because I think in the same year he fumbles the bag on Spider-Man. So like he totally kicks the shit out of it. Like the trajectory of Jake Gyllenhaal's like fantasy career, like going from being in the Lord of the Rings to Spider-Man, like the next year, like totally different career trajectory.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna ask this question with Ian McKellen because I think he's perfect as Gandalf. But let's see, who is this guy? Patrick McGoohan. Don't know who that is. I think he was in Columbo. All right, whatever. That's old.
That's my favorite
Christopher
actor.
Plummer was linked to play Gandalf. Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
What's his face? Why am I blanking right now? Blah, blah, blah. I love Jurassic Park. Why am I... Whatever. Anyway, Sam Neill. That would have been cool. Let's... All right. So, Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. Perfect casting. However, is this movie better or worse if Daniel Day-Lewis plays Aragorn?
Jesus. No. Viggo just like that just role was just made for him. It's so good. Like I don't know. I just can't imagine replacing anyone. Like, obviously, if it had come out with a different actor, I would have felt the same way about that actor. But like, I literally I don't even want to blasphemy picture someone else as Aragorn.
Well, there's some wild people linked to this role. So it looks like Daniel Day-Lewis was offered the role, but turned it down. Nicolas Cage was offered the role.
No.
Turned it down.
How embarrassing. Like, imagine
what a movie. I want that movie.
Yeah, imagine if we were here today and I had to explain to you guys how much I fucking loved Lord of the Rings and Nicolas fucking Cage was Aragorn. Oh, you guys would never talk to me. You'd be like, do not speak to her.
I love Nicolas Cage, so I would have been cool with him. I would have been your only friend, is what it would have been. Vin Diesel auditioned for Aragorn. And then he gets the Chronicles of Riddick. My guy. Let's see. A gentleman by the name of Stuart Townsend was actually cast as Aragorn, but then replaced by Peter Jackson.
So maybe hold on, Stuart. I want to look him up.
What was he in? He was in. What was he in? He looks like kind of a nobody. I don't recognize any of these. He was in an episode of Will and Grace.
That's
so
mean
cool.
to poor Stuart.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing here. I don't know any of these movies. They're all foreign films, so. He was in an episode of Robot Chicken. 4 episodes of Robot Chicken.
Sick.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I think we've kind of answered that question. So yeah, I think he was originally cast in the role, then replaced by Peter Jackson, and they considered Russell Crowe as a replacement for him. I was like, there's a whole lot of people that could have had this, which is insane. Let's take a look here. Boromir was linked to Bruce Willis and Liam Neeson.
Oh man.
Yeah. Thank God that didn't happen.
Sean Bean is meant to be in medieval films. That dude,
they didn't cast Sean Bean. Maybe he wouldn't have died though.
Oh, true, very true. Also, did you guys? I'm sure everyone knows this Sean Bean trivia. That dude got stabbed in a bar fight, and then just went back and just continued drinking at the bar. Like that dude is so metal. Like I
haven't heard that, but I believe you.
Yeah, he was just like, I just didn't even realize I was stabbed. Like he's like, I just went back and finished my
That's
drink.
how I'm trying to be.
Yeah, like that dude's fucking sick.
And then he starred in Silent Hill.
Woo!
I think he was also in Gold.
I haven't seen that movie either.
I watched it once.
You don't have to.
It's fine. It's not. I'm making it up. I'm sorry. Anything else interesting here? Let's take a look here. Okay. Orlando Bloom originally auditioned for Faramir.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Koop'd.
I don't know if you've met Faramir yet. He is Boromir's brother.
Okay.
Let's take a look here. Anything else interesting here? No, Liv Tyler is untouched. Lucy Lawless was originally considered for Galadriel, but that role then went to Kate Blanchett, and thank God. No, that's about it. Oh, Andy Serkis is in this film as voice captain.
Oh,
that is Gollum. That is Gollum, and that is like
so cool.
That was one of my favorite parts of the movie where they're like, "Yeah, he's been following us for days."
Yep. Gollum is a little freak.
He's a little guy.
Yeah, I actually made my little sister cry when we saw the movie in theaters because she was afraid of Gollum, like up on the big screen. 'Cause she's 2 years younger than me, so she was a little younger when we saw it. Mm-hmm. And after she started crying, I was just like, "That's you," and she was just like, never forgave me for it. You little freak.
Stone cold.
Yeah, sorry, she deserved it at the time.
Yeah, that's about all.
I'm very excited to watch the second movie just so I can see Gollum do anything.
Oh, yes.
I'm assuming by then he'll have lines.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and we've established, so what was the plan I want to rephrase for the next one is that, because this is something that Rachel's also thought we were going to do, and I wanted to do it, is I'll set up a call where we can watch the movie in real time, and then I'll edit in, like, important moments of the movie, and we can react to it in the moment, which I think would be a lot of fun. So... it's time to take the Koop'd Up YouTube channel to where it belongs. Reaction content. That's exactly what I want to do. But yeah, I think that's it for all the casting rumors. Again, it's a very different movie if some of these people get casted. I'm very much on board with Nicolas Cage as Eric.
Oh my god, I can't even think about him with that fucking head of fake curls. Like, I just can't even picture it.
You can't picture Aragorn sealing the Declaration of Independence?
You know what? Now that I think about it, I can.
That movie's so
If they were like, "That's Strider," and then his like cape came back and it was Nicolas Cage, I would lose my fucking mind.
Yeah, there's no way that this movie would be taken seriously.
It's like, yeah, maybe if we were getting attacked by a swarm of bees.
I would love to do a review of The Wicker Man. That movie is awful.
Yes.
I've seen that movie, and that movie is hilarious.
Yeah, it is. That is like
And it-
peak bad acting, but like thinks he's like putting his heart and soul into it.
the scene
It's
with
great.
the scene with the bear, God, every time, it's, like piss myself laughing. That's a different podcast. I did have an unreleased Nicolas Cage podcast that I will probably release in the future at some time, but I'll leave it.
Unseen content.
Because he had like that movie come out earlier in the summer that I watched and I really liked, where he plays himself in a movie, which is really funny. I thought it was great. Pedro Pascal's in it.
Nice.
That's my dad. So,
He's sick.
yeah, big fan. But yeah, I think that kind of pretty much wraps things up. Rachel, first and foremost, thank you so much for driving. Because that definitely made things much easier for the both of us.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's I'm very happy that we inevitably got around to this franchise, and now I can hyperfixate one movie at a time, and I'll see how our schedules line up to where we can inevitably watch the movie live together.
Microdosing Lord of the Rings.
What? All right. Now that we're at the end, what do you guys give the movie like as a rating out of 10?
Ooh, that's hard.
8.
8, solid.
8 because I feel like it was a bit long. There were too many
A
places.
bit.
a bit.
Yeah, it is
We
long.
went too many places.
Definitely.
I'd rather just spend a little bit more time in a different place.
Yep.
It was like two places too many for me. But it
eight
was
is-
very, very good, so it's an 8.
Yeah, 8 solid. What about you, Coops?
I'm definitely giving. I'm probably gonna go with an 8 safely too. 9 if Nicolas Cage is in the movie. Also, I missed the casting. What if? So Hugo Weaving's in this movie as Elrond.
Yeah.
And apparently that role was supposedly piqued the interest of one Mr. David Bowie.
Okay. I actually love
like,
Elrond.
yo.
I think Elrond is great, but low key, that could have been really cool.
David,
That would have been sick. Him.
Yeah,
I'm a Goblin King and an Elf King.
I'm saying. It's. I think the quote here says that I think Peter Jackson said that like it would have made him very uncomfortable to have someone that famous in his movie. I'm just like, all right, whatever.
True.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to really. You wouldn't be the character. It would be David Bowie.
I'm about it.
I think. Hold on. There's Have you guys seen the Princess Diaries?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you see the second one?
Yes.
So I'm
Unfortunately.
pretty sure Gimli's actor plays the like shitty dad in the second one. Chris
You're
Pine's
kidding.
dad.
Oh my god.
I think
That's
And
hilarious.
all I can think of whenever I see that, I'm like, that's Gimli. Like,
He fell off. No,
yeah,
That's-
I'm like, that's Gimli. Where are you
not
That's-
the actor Gimli.
That's also a category in another podcast I listen to where like that person's a that guy. Like it's like, oh, that's that guy from that's Gimli from Lord of the Rings. But he's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
he's Chris Pine's dad in another movie. So
Yeah. Also, another little tiny fact of trivia to send you guys off for the night. Everyone in the Fellowship has the Elven word for 9 tattooed on them. They got little bestie
Aw.
tattoos.
oh, that's
That's
so
so
sweet.
cute.
Yeah. So all 9 of them have it. I think that's really
They
sweet.
did the Yu-Gi-Oh thing. They drew a smiley face on their hands.
Yup.
Yes,
Yep.
it's exactly like that.
And in the next
20
one, they
degrees
will
separation.
duel. Blue eyes with white dragon.
Bilbo boy. All right.
Bilbo boy.
Yugi boy.
No.
Oh boy. Good night, everybody. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this week's episode. First and foremost, thank you guys again. This is a long time coming. We've been playing on this podcast for a couple months now, and now that the summer has officially died down and we all have a little bit less to do now. I'm very happy we were able to get everything together.